Hanuman, and Sugriva, and some others on the shore on the other side of the sea from where Lanka is, and they said, "Please carry my message." So they were the agents through whom Vibhishan surrendered. Let Ram know I'd like to take shelter of him. Will he accept me? So they carried the message, and they had this, big, long, protracted discussion about should Ramachandra. So Ramachandra's being Ramachandra, he didn't just say yes or no. He said, "What's your advice?" He's a king, and wise kings, they make decisions, but they don't just act independently. They ask the advice of those who are close to them. What's your suggestion? So, through the agency of the devotees of Ramachandra, Vibhishan took shelter of Ramachandra, abandoning everything that he left behind, except his wife, and because she plays a role later on, Sarama plays a nice role later on. And there's now a little history about Ranganath. Ranganath. The deity of Sri Ranganath originally appeared to Lord Brahma at the beginning of this kalpa. What's a kalpa? A day of Brahma. You can learn some terminology today. Kalpa means a day of Brahma. Don't look at him. I'm looking at you. Kalpa means a day of Brahma. So at the beginning of each day of Brahma, he gets up and does his sadhana. And does his sadhana every day, every day, every day for his whole life, every day. So he got up in the beginning of this kalpa. Ranganath deity appeared to him. Pretty amazing deity too. What do you see? The photographs of the deity. Ranganath had been worshipped in the Ikshvaku dynasty down to the time of Dasarath Maharaj. So the deity appeared to Brahma. Brahma gave to Ikshvaku Ikshvaku. Who's Ikshvaku? Ikshvaku is the son of the Vivaswatamanu. Vivaswatamanu is the son of Vivaswan. So just as Bhagavad Gita chapter 4. Bhagavad Gita chapter 4. I'm not looking at you. Don't look around. I'm looking at you. We're giving you a nice class. You just soak it in. Don't get nervous. Chapter 4 Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says, the beginning of chapter 4 Bhagavad Gita, long, long ago, I gave the same teaching, Arjuna, that I'm giving to you long, long ago to the sun god, Vivaswan. Vivaswan, in turn, gave the same teaching to his son, Manu, known as Vivaswatamanu. Vivaswatamanu. Vivaswatamanu gave to his son, Ikshvaku. So who is Ikshvaku? He is the son of Vivaswatamanu, who's the son of the sun god, Vivaswan. So, in beginning of Brahma's day, the deity of Ranganath manifests, and he gave the deity as a gift to Ikshvaku. Ikshvaku brought the deity with him when he came to the earthly realm to rule the earth planet, because that's what his father wanted him. In generations, they all worshipped the deity of Ranganath. Then, after the battle with Ravana, and Ramchandra went back to Ayodhya, became the king of Ayodhya, Ramachandra, gave the very same deity to Vibhishan. A pretty big gift, too, because the deity is humongous. So Vibhishan accepted the gift, and Ramachandra wanted Vibhishan to return to Ayodhya and become the king in Ayodhya under the emperor of Ayodhya who ruled the world. Ayodhya is part of the world. Excuse me. Lanka is part of the world, and Vibhishana is supposed to go back to Lanka and rule in Lanka. After Ravana was dead, he would become the next king. Kumbhakarna was also dead. So he's taking the deity, a huge deity, all the way to Lanka, but along the way, the deity decided, I want to stay here. So he settled the deity in the place where the deity wanted to be settled, on the bank of the Kaveri River, and looking in the direction of Vibhishan, where Vibhishan would rule in Lanka. Now, deities normally don't face south. This was an exception to the rule. He faced southwards toward Lanka, assuring Vibhishan of his protection and mercy. So here's the Sri Ranganath deity with Sri and Bu on either side of the festival deity, Utsav Murti. And here's a close-up of the deity, Ranganath, reclining on Anantashesh. Now, very celebrated deity, and the deity's connection with Vibhishan is mentioned in several places. One of them is the 108 Divya Deshams, places where celebrated deities are residing, and the Sri Vaishnavas particularly regard these 108 places. The first on the list, Ranganath. And there are alvars. You've heard of the alvars? Good. There's 12 alvars in the Sri Sampradaya. Before Ramanujacharya gathered teachings from the alvars and systematized them and made a whole Siddhanta called Sri Vaishnavism. But prior to his doing that, there were 12 alvars, and they offered prayers. And here's Priya Alvar in his prayer in relation to the deity and Vibhishan. After removing the hurdles for Vibhishan, Sri Ranganath gave the kingdom to him, and lying at Sri Rangam, he is looking at the way in which Vibhishan is ably ruling Lanka. This is similar to how a mother who is nursing her infant looks at the infant's cheerful face. This is one of the alvars. Then another, Kulashekar, is another one of the alvars. Lying down at the southern direction with affection, Sri Ranganath looks at the southern direction, which is the dwelling place of Vibhishan. We'll say it again, that deities normally are not facing south. It's like a rule. You don't have deities facing south. He's the rule breaker because of his partiality to Vibhishan. And here's Tiramangal Alvar, the longer section. Sri Ranganath has special affection towards Vibhishan, who is blessed by realized wisdom. When Sugriva, this is nice, when Sugriva threatened to walk out with his army of monkeys should Sri Ram accept Vibhishan, Sri Ram said, even if I have to forgo you and your army, I will not let down Vibhishan. This is similar to a cow. In order to protect its calf that it gave birth to that day, pushes aside the calf which is older with its horns and hoofs. When that Sugriva did something which could have resulted in harm to him, Sri Ram said, "Oh, Sugriva, with long arms, if something shameful had befallen you, what benefit would I get through Sita or Bharata or Lakshman or Shatrughna? Oh, warrior who kills enemies, what benefit would I get out of my own body?" Such was Ram's affection towards Sugriva, but his affection for Vibhishan was greater than that which he had towards Sugriva, and hence he is lying in Srirangam looking in the direction of Vibishana. Very special. Special deity. These are the Alvars appreciating things that we're not going to be able to understand, but they can understand. The affection that Ranganath has because of the affection that Ram has for Vibhishan. So now we're going to go a little bit to some of the story. You saw, those who were with us yesterday, you saw this slide. Up on top, that's Kaikasi, who's approaching Vishravas while he's performing a yagya. If you look in front of him, that's a fire yagya. And she came while he was doing the yagya, so he just continued to the yagya until he was finished. And then he spoke to her, saying, I know who you are. I know what's in your mind. And the answer is yes. I'll accept you as a wife, but because you came at an inauspicious time, the children that we born for you will be cruel and horrible demons, except for your youngest son, who's going to be virtuous, just like Vishravas was a virtuous Brahmana. The painting at the bottom that shows Vishravas being presented by the children. After they were married, Kaikashi has 4 children. And in her lap is Vibhishan, the youngest. And then behind Ravana with the 10 heads and 20 arms, behind him is the giant Kumbhakarna, and behind him is the Mataji, the young sister, Shurpanakha. So Vibhishan was the youngest of the 4. And we heard something yesterday about Ravana. That's the first of their children. The second of their children is Kumbhakarna. He likes sleep. So when it was time for the battle, they tried to wake him up, and it was really tough to wake him up. Banging on drums and poking him with sticks and chopping him with stickers and blasting sounds and putting mountains of food. As soon as he woke up, he would be really hungry, and that's Kumbhakarna. Giant, really giant fellow. And then there was Vibhishan, the third of the brothers. Each of the brothers, doesn't say any austerity that Shurpanakha performed, but each of the brothers did extensive austerities, and the austerities of Ravana was to get power so he could rule the 3 worlds, not just, some tract of land, the entire universe. He was an ambitious guy. And Kumbhakarna wanted the benediction after his austerities to sleep a lot. There's a very detailed, with a horn, elephants trampling on his body, and waking him up wasn't easy. And Vibhishan, that describes his austerities next, but he wanted the benediction to always serve the Supreme Lord. He became what was predicted by his father. Here's his austerity. He stood on his foot for 5,000 years, 1 foot for 5,000 years. When his vow was completed for yet another 5,000 years, he gazed steadily at the sun, standing with his arms raised above his head and his mind fixed on Vedic recitation. And we just try to chant 16 rounds. And when the benediction time came, may every thought that I may have in each and every stage of my life in this world be supremely righteous, and may I always uphold the righteous conduct appropriate to every stage. So he's kind of a little different than his 2 brothers. And he had 4 ministers that were always with him and assisting him. And here's their painting of them and their names. And his wife, we heard this yesterday, his wife was arranged by Ravana, and his wife was Sarama. She was the daughter of a king of the Gandharvas. So, suitable wife for an exalted personality. Here's how he got her name. She was born on the shore of Lake Manasa during one rainy season. And as she was born during the rainy season, her mother called out, Sarama. Ma means not. Don't flood. So that name stuck, Sarama. This is, and you'll see this image a number of times. This is the Pushpaka Vimana that Ravana usurped from his stepbrother Kuvera when he beat up Kuvera. When Vibishana learned that Ravana had kidnapped so many girls using his Pushpaka Vimana, he right away, this is like way back in the very beginning, this act of yours is very sinful and is unbecoming of our good family. Already, as a recreation to your reaction, to your wickedness, your own aunt, Gobinashi, has been kidnapped by the Rakshasa Madhu. So you're going to see another family chart, lineage chart. Because, how are they connected? Gumbinasi, the ant, we'll see shortly. Kumbinashi was the unmarried daughter of Malyavan. The unmarried daughter of Malyavan. So who's Malyavan? We'll see the ancestry shortly. Malyavan was the uncle of Ravana's mother, Kaikashi. So Ravana's mother, Kaikashi, had an uncle. That means her father's brother, uncle. And she, Kumbinashi, was residing in Ravana's palace. So here's the chart. There's Lord Brahma at the top. And from Brahma came all living entities through Prajapatis, etc. So included, according to Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 20, the Rakshasas and Yakshas were all